Hello, welcome back everybody. On June 7th, it's officially been 1 year since I started the Ed Engine project, and over that time I've been running into a tiny problem time and time again. It goes a little something like this. Hey, check out this feature I just added to my game engine. Oh, you're making a game engine? Cool, let me see. Sure, let me pull it up. Yeah, I think it's time we fix that. First, I tried some theme concepts in Designer, but realized it would probably be faster just to go straight into HTML. So I set up some global CSS theme variables and started playing around with the basic colors. The website Adobe Color was really great at helping me quickly try different color schemes, and it's something I would really recommend if you haven't tried it already. After getting a simple color palette down, I settled on a simple design language, and within 20 minutes I went from this to this. Obviously the change is only cosmetic, but it instantly made the entire program feel different and finally stopped feeling like a prototype. Next, I added the View Inline SVG plugin to allow me to set the colors of external SVGs to allow me to match the colors of the theme. Then I removed all the inline SVG stuff because it broke local builds. And that's pretty much it. Designing UI is something I rarely have to do, so if I'm being honest, I'm really surprised how well this turned out. While I originally wasn't 100% sold on the color scheme and only ended up with the orange color after accidentally clicking the wrong button in Adobe Color, I have to say it's kind of growing on me. I'll still probably have to come back and tweak some things, like I think the object editor is a bit too gray still. I also like the idea of having floating side menus, but ran into some issues getting the undo and nav buttons to behave themselves, so this will probably be something I come back to in the future. I added a check to the Trello card, and that's another milestone down. And this one didn't even take me 9 months. Usually at the end of a milestone, I go back and I fix all the bugs and stuff that have been building up during that stretch, but this time there really weren't any. So instead, I had this list since I started the project that had been building up of just like random things I noticed here and there, code optimizations, refactors, stuff like that. And so I decided to knock out a few of those since I had the time. A lot of these were really small. For example, I changed it so instances are now inserted into their sorted position, while before they were added onto the end and then the entire list was resorted. I also changed all the canvas's save and restore calls to reset transform. This should result in less context switching and lead to a small performance boost. And me being the amazing programmer I am, had no idea that the function array.find existed. So every time I wanted to get a single element from a list, I'd use array filter and then take the first element of the returned array. So I went back and I fixed all those. The big refactor I did in the art editor was moving all the logic out of the rendering code. I'm glad I did, as not only does it make the codebase a lot more consistent, but it also makes it a lot more manageable next time I have to change something in the art editor. So Ed Engine saves projects as JSON files that serializes all the data. This means sprites just turn into massive lists of hex values, oftentimes with a lot of empty space and repetition. While one sprite with a couple of frames is pretty small and insignificant, a game's worth of sprites and level instances might cause the file sizes to get a little bigger than I'm comfortable with. I've been playing around with an idea for a simple compression algorithm in my head, and I thought it'd be fun to implement, so I had at it. The algorithm works in 2 pretty simple steps. First, it goes through all the frames and looks for ranges of identical frames. It then replaces that range with an array that holds a single digit. This digit basically says, hey, look at the previous frame and duplicate that frame this many times. The second step then goes through the remaining frames and does the same thing, only this time it's building up ranges of pixels within that frame and compressing that down the same way. It was fast, easy, and manages to compress sprites down to around 60 or even 20% of the original size in some cases. Since there are a lot of serialized variable names in these files, I could compress it down even more by using something like JSONpack, but that alone would add around 8 to 15 kilobytes to each saved project. So I'll wait until people actually start using this thing to see how big the file sizes are before I make the decision if it needs it or not. Finally, there are some really small tweaks. I swapped the gross debug roach icon with the ladybug. The fit to view button now works in the room editor. And finally, cursors and icons now change color to contrast with the background. We're getting pretty close to finishing this thing. All that's left now is the logic editor and the engine runtime, and I'll be able to put Ed into beta. Now, if you like this project and would like to help support it, it always helps by sharing these videos around, or you can help by donating to the links down in the description below. And as always, I will see you next time.